With Iroi being just added, NTE has seen their first limited support slash healer that is pretty much just the strongest in the game right now. But yeah, with this version coming to an end now, we've seen a lot of new characters, and the meta have seen their fair changes. So as usual today, let's take a look at how the tier list is shaping up to be, and take a look at the power scaling of NTE. What are the best teams? What are the best characters? What are the ones that are not doing that well? With all that said, let's jump into it. Just real quick before we start, if you're looking for the best deals for top-ups in games like Neverness to Everness, I'd like to share with you the website I usually use, which is Loot Bar. Loot Bar is very direct. They offer the best prices for the same top-ups you'd find in-game. You can see how much you save right beside the price tag here. You can actually save quite a good amount, up to 25% if you register now with my link and use those new user coupons too. What's best for me is how easy it is to set up. Simply click on my link in the description, register an account if you don't have one yet, select any bundles you would like, complete the payment, choose self top-up, log into your account. Now this is secured since it is set up as a one-time cloud device, so you don't gotta worry about that. You'll then see your account in-game on the browser, go to the store and click on the bundle you purchased. You'll be able to redeem it right away, and voila, you'll have your resources. Then simply log out, your data will be automatically cleared. If you would prefer not to log in, there's even a direct top-up feature where if you bind your email to your game account, you can enjoy direct top-up without logging in even. All the more convenient. I've been using Lootbar for almost 2 years now, and I have had no issues, and they also have thousands of great reviews on Trustpilot. Lootbar's been around the block. They're also used by multiple other big name creators too, so you have no complaints from me. Just as a side note, Lootbar also has official CD keys on sale for some really big Steam games like Art Raiders. You get up to 80% off for these keys, so yeah, check it out. If you're interested, click my link in the description and give Lootbar a shot. It does help me out a ton as well, so I'd appreciate that. We'll start with tier 0, and let's just start with the changes mainly. We'll focus on those. First of all, the massive changes that we're gonna see will be Shinku that came from tier 0.5 to tier 0. Now, Shinku always had an issue of targeting anyways, especially in AoE situations where her kit really does scatter the enemies a bunch. And for certain bosses, if they're flying around or if they're untargetable, then Shinku does lose out on a lot of value. But because of the addition of Iroi though, especially if you have Iroi's signature, she's able to provide you with a lot of good buffs, and she works with Shinku perfectly too in the charge team. That allows Shinku to just do way more damage. Plus at the same time, Iroi can gather enemies, which does help Shinku with targeting in terms of fighting AoE situations. Her damage output will still be a lot lower if the boss is just flying around or are untargetable, but outside of that, Shinku can genuinely do a bunch of damage, and you'll probably end even the hardest of endgames right now in 2 ultimate usage, considering if you have endgame investment. One of the best things about Iroi is honestly just the anima element, being able to be used with so many good teams right now, and that does make Shinku a fair tier 0 character for now. While I don't think she's at the same level as Lacrimosa in terms of just ease of use and overall value, I do think she's not exactly just tier 0.5 though. Her powers are pretty decent. Now for the rest of tier 0 damage dealers, we do see characters that has been around, I think, but with the addition of Iroi, they actually just solidify their place in tier 0 even more. For example, with Chaos, he's in a similar position as Shinku as well. Chaos does need to be played in a charge team usually, and he does also have like an enhancing ultimate where you have to spam attacks while the ultimate is active, which means if the boss are untargetable during that time, he might lose out on damage. It's kind of similar to how Shinku will work. With the addition of Iroi though, she can be easily used with a Chaos team, and all the buffs are certainly helping Chaos do more damage as well, which has pulled up his performance. So yep, he is considered tier 0 safely here, and the same thing could be said about Chiz, same thing could be said about Nanali, and even Lacrimosa as well. One of the most used ways of Lacrimosa is to just spam general support plus 1 Lacrimosa. You go with the Iroi, you go with Sakuri and Haniel all in the same team. Before Iroi, you would use Adler, which still worked out because it does activate Lacrimosa's passive of having 3 different dots, increasing the dot damage that she's doing. But having Iroi in the squad just means she can ignore defenses. She gets insane attack buffs. It is just so much value. And if you have Iroi's signature, Lacrimosa's damage gets even higher, which is why you're still gonna see Lacrimosa in tier 0. I don't think anyone can doubt that, honestly. And then for the case of Nanali, well, Iroi literally helps out Blossom, so Nanali being the classic Blossom character, the Blossom main damage dealer, she is safely in tier 0. I find it pretty much agreeable, and I will have to point this out. There are more and more tier 0 characters in the game right now, which does mean it's about time the next characters should be a lot different, where they are probably gonna get a lot better, and you'll see existing characters drop down. It's just how a lot of these games work out. But then again, we don't know how NT is gonna adjust their power curve, though I do doubt they're gonna keep everybody in the high tiers and tier 0 stuff. I do enjoy that, but that also defeats the purpose for a lot of players that actually enjoys the combat. If everybody is strong, it's like you just play whatever, right? For the casual players though, this is honestly really good. Just look at the variety, right? There's so many different elements, so many different main DPSs. They all can perform at the highest of levels. We'll see how the meta pans out. And one more thing to point out, there are pretty much just 0 psyche element characters in the tier 0 main damage dealer slot. In fact, there are 0 psyche characters at all in the whole tier. I think the next characters is probably going to be psyche. I don't know if they drip marked it already or not, but yeah, I would think they want to keep some sort of balance here. Or perhaps an incantation main DPS would be coming soon, and that might open up a higher ceiling and have existing characters drop down a little bit in the tiers. But regardless though, they stay as very strong. I still personally think Lacrimosa is the strongest main DPS of all time though, especially with investment in dupes, but regardless, all the characters are still usable and they're good. Now to move on to the hybrids, nothing much to say here. It's the same 2 characters. We're not going to spend too much time about them. We should spend more time in supports though. Tier 0 supports, we see Iroi, the new addition, and we see Sakiri, and a missing character in Haniel. You can see her down below. We're strong with Iroi for now. She's the new addition and she's tier 0. I think no one has doubted this. Her general supportive capabilities are pretty much just the best in the game. She has a gather that is really underrated. Being able to gather enemies just helps her main damage dealer so much more, especially in AoE situations. She has defense ignore, she has crazy attack buffs, and if you have her signature, you get even more of those as well, all while being extremely easy to use, and her healing is very strong at that. One of the best part about her that is underrated would just be the anima element, because anima element would work with blossom teams where a lot of characters does utilize blossom, because to utilize charge you also have to utilize blossom anyway. So we see charge team main damage dealers like Chaos, like Shinku as well. Automatically they both can use Iroi. We see a pure blossom team in Nanali, automatically that can use Iroi as well. Chiz can use Iroi and you can still trigger Esper cycles with her. The meta right now is heavily skewed towards the upper half of the Esper cycle effects. It's just the blossom, the charge, and the Remora. It makes Iroi incredibly strong, and even without the Esper cycles, her value on her own is just really good anyway, as one of the rarest, most sought after role in the game, which is just an AoE support slash healer. A triple general support team plus a main damage dealer like the Lacrimosa, that team is still really strong, and Iroi is just the best slot there. She can even have some damage to her name, but that is definitely not her main ideal way to be played for sure. And most people would just be using her as just a really simple support. You come in, you ult and you skill, you get out, you have all the buffs. It's pretty similar to how Sakiri is used as well. But yep, that will be the new meta tier 0 supports. We see a lower tier of Haniel. This points towards the direction of a new meta slowly now, with standard characters and older ones, especially with lower rarity, slowly dropping off, with newer, stronger limited banners that takes their role being released. Does that mean Haniel's terrible though? Absolutely not, because if we're gonna go to tier 0.5, we do see the same characters all around, except Haniel is the new addition here, being lowered from tier 0. Haniel honestly just have one like problem with her, which is just the lack of longer duration of her buffs. That's her biggest issue. If you play it well and you benefit mostly or fully from her buffs, you're still fine. You still benefit a lot. And because there's still not enough good general supports in the game where you could just not remember Haniel exists, she still stays as a really strong character anyway. If you're using Iroi with like your charge team, then you can still stick with Sakiri, Haniel plus Adler as a triple general support for someone like Lacrimosa. Haniel can still be a very core character for you. Tier 0.5 seems absolutely right for me. Now to take a look at tier 1. Nothing has changed at all, so I'm not gonna point out too much about it. But mostly starting for these tiers, you do see old characters or standard characters, and some characters that require skill to play. Now what I will want to point out would be tier 1.5 though, which would be Skia that has been added to the watch list. Apparently he has some bug with his Remora, which is one of the reasons why he's on a watch list now, but even without or with it, I guess he should still be around this tier though in my opinion. He is now considered in the hybrid slot because he's not exactly better played as a main damage healer. There are ways to just put the hedgehog set on him and just have him be the buffer for the team as well, and his element is still really good to trigger charge. So that will be tier 1 to tier 1.5. These are the solid characters with nothing too much to go crazy for. And then with tier 2 and 3, always these two characters really. But interestingly, Edgar has seen an increased arrow, but he's still in tier 3. It's an interesting one because the reasoning behind this change is that Edgar has been raised by 0.001 in terms of tier, so he's now at tier 2.999. It's solely because of the signature arc of Iroi. If you put that on Edgar, Edgar can fully benefit from that really strong arc that's supported for the whole team. Put on a hedgehog set on and you have a fair buffer in Edgar. It's a fair one, but you do need the signature arc of Iroi though, and in the end forcing that on Edgar just to use him isn't exactly making too much of a sense. But hey, does not mean he's terrible, just means he's less popular and you might find more use with other characters, right? And that'll be all for the Iroi update tier list. There are some massive characters coming soon. Characters like Zanko is definitely going to be a big boss type character, and I think she's going to be one of the characters that pulls up a whole new ceiling for NTE. We'll see what happens though. For now, the meta is pretty congested up top, I will say. There's a lot of really strong tier 0 characters. All of them are usable, which is always nice. Yeah, I think it's good to have it be this way, where for a time the meta stays and the meta is just gonna have a lot of different teams, and slowly but surely we're gonna get better and better characters, not suddenly. And when a new ceiling is formed, there's gonna be more teams as well that surrounds that ceiling, so we have more options while still being able to integrate some older teams as well with the newer supports and such, right? I think it's a good way for a game like NTE to proceed. But regardless though, if you're wondering about Iroi, it's really strong, man. Should pull her. And that will be all. If you guys enjoyed this one, and take care.